The Uneven Digital Transformation of Armenian Businesses. Article by Qnarik Baghdasaryan. Published on September 1, 2025, on EVN Report. On a lively Friday evening in Yerevan, two new restaurants on the same street have just opened their doors. From the outside, they appear nearly identical, same neighborhood, similar menus, same kind of clientele. Yet one buzzes with activity, fully booked by guests who reserved days in advance, while the other sits nearly empty and may soon close its doors. This is a familiar contrast in today's business landscape in Yerevan. While location, pricing, and service quality remain important, a business's adaptation to the digital era has become increasingly decisive. Embracing digitalization goes beyond adopting the latest technologies. It enhances customer experience, optimizes internal processes, and fosters a culture of continuous improvement. The thriving restaurant has built a comprehensive digital presence, active social media, a user-friendly website, QR-coded menus, loyalty programs on its own app, online ordering, and instant reservations. The struggling establishment has no digital footprint, resists digitized supply chain tools, and lags in adopting cashless payment systems. This pattern extends across Armenia, particularly in traditional sectors like construction, retail, and manufacturing. As businesses face growing pressure to adapt to the digital economy, adoption remains uneven. While some enterprises have successfully integrated digital tools into their operations, many still rely on outdated practices, missing out on efficiency gains and market opportunities. The consequences extend beyond individual firms and could shape Armenia's broader economic trajectory. Digital transformation is no longer a luxury or a distant goal, it's a prerequisite for competitiveness. In Armenia's small economy, where productivity gaps persist and export potential remains underutilized, digitalization offers one of the most direct paths to improving business efficiency and accessing new markets. While public institutions may lead by digitalizing their services, this alone won't suffice unless Armenia's private sector is both equipped and motivated to digitalize. What explains the private sector's digital divide? More importantly, what should Armenia's digital transformation policies address to bridge this gap? This article explores these questions by analyzing the latest firm-level data from national statistics on digitalization, complemented by recent enterprise surveys and analyses from international organizations, to outline a path toward a more digital economy. Surface-level digitalization, outward focus, inward gaps. Digital transformation has become a policy priority in Armenia in recent years, yet most enterprises remain at the early stages of this journey. The majority of Armenian firms have not adopted digital technology beyond basic computers and internet access. Even among businesses that have embraced digital tools, the depth and sophistication of adoption remains limited. Armenian firms tend to gravitate towards simpler, customer-facing tools. While social media pages on Facebook or Instagram are common, they do not constitute meaningful transformation. When digital adoption does occur, it primarily targets promotional, outward-oriented functions, digital marketing, basic e-commerce via third-party platforms, and digital payments. Meanwhile, internal transformation of processes, often referred to as process innovation, meaning the redesign or automation of how work gets done, such as accounting, inventory management, or data analysis, remains rare. Very few companies use enterprise resource planning, ERP systems, and customer relationship management, CRM, software is uncommon outside a handful of industries. A recent survey of local enterprises revealed that approximately 80% of firms report no adoption of any CRM or ERP system. International comparisons highlight this gap dramatically. In 2023, while 43.3% of EU enterprises used ERP systems, with adoption rates of 37.9% among small firms and 86.3% among large ones, Armenia's figures were significantly lower at just 6.4% for small firms and 16.9% for large ones. Effective digitalization requires enhancing or introducing new elements into internal workflows, supply chains, and service delivery. Yet Armenian businesses lag in process innovation. Only 13.9% of Armenian firms reported implementing process innovation in the previous year, well below the Eastern Europe and Central Asia regional average of 20.1%. Mapping the digital divide: who is digitalizing and who isn't? To identify effective solutions, we must first understand where Armenia's digital divides are most pronounced and which businesses face the greatest risk of falling behind. Data analysis reveals consistent patterns. Digitalizing enterprises share several distinctive characteristics that set them apart from their lagging counterparts. These differences include company scale, geographic location, type of activity, and degree of international exposure. Scale: the smaller the enterprise, the lower its capacity for adopting digital technologies. Firm size is one of the most decisive factors in digital adoption. Larger enterprises, with over 250 employees, are significantly more advanced in their digital practices. Nearly 79% have their own websites, and many have integrated ERP, CRM, and cloud-based systems into daily operations. Medium-sized firms, 50 to 249 employees, also show relatively high digital engagement and are about twice as likely to engage in e-commerce as smaller enterprises. In contrast, Armenia's micro, 1 to 9 employees, and small businesses, 10 to 49 employees, remain largely underserved by the digital transition. Many still rely on face-to-face and paper-based transactions, with limited access to digital business tools. Geography: Yerevan businesses show higher digital maturity than regional ones. Connectivity remains a key factor in Armenia's digital divide. In Yerevan and a few major towns, businesses benefit from relatively advanced infrastructure, including fiber optic broadband and emerging 5G mobile networks. In contrast, many rural areas still rely on outdated infrastructure and basic mobile internet, conditions that significantly hinder digital engagement. As of 2024, 80% of Yerevan-based enterprises have reliable internet access compared to just 70% in the regions. High-speed internet, 100 megabits per second or more, is available to 30% of Yerevan businesses, but only 16% in other parts of the country. Given this disparity, it's unsurprising that Yerevan businesses consistently outperform regional counterparts on nearly all digital indicators. Over half of Yerevan's businesses maintain their own websites, while only 22% of regional businesses do the same. Similarly, 67% of regional enterprises report not using social media at all for business purposes, while Yerevan-based firms are twice as likely to engage customers online. Type of activity: tech sector growth disconnected from traditional sectors. Armenia's tech sector continues to grow rapidly, yet its progress remains largely isolated from traditional parts of the economy. Over the past decade, the ICT industry has emerged as a dynamic, export-oriented driver of growth, with tech companies operating in a digital-by-default ecosystem. Businesses in this sector routinely use ERP and CRM systems, cloud services, and workflow automation tools. Given their digital expertise, these companies often go beyond off-the-shelf platforms, investing in customized software tailored to their specific operational needs. The hospitality sector follows in digital adoption, with about 24% of providers engaged in online sales and 23% using ERP or CRM systems. This digital uptake is supported by both international hotel and restaurant chains operating in Armenia, and domestic players adopting booking systems, online delivery services, and specialized restaurant management software. Real estate and professional services firms have made progress toward digitalization, although at varying levels. CRM systems are widely used, and cloud-based platforms have become common for document sharing and analytics. Legal consulting and administrative support firms recognize the importance of implementing emerging technologies, like AI, and investing in staff reskilling. However, gaps remain in data management and cybersecurity practices. Armenia's traditional industries, construction, manufacturing, and trade, lag significantly behind in digital adoption. Manufacturers occasionally use digital tools for accounting, supply chain management, and HR. They employ software packages, ArmSoft 1C, Bittrex 24, etc., and cloud services, Dropbox, Google Drive, etc., for internal data sharing and management. Yet broader adoption remains limited, reinforcing reliance on manual processes. In construction and retail, analog operations dominate, with paper-based inventory and in-person transactions remain the norm. Few businesses maintain operational websites or integrate digital tools into their core workflows. International exposure, global market integration, accelerates digitalization. Enterprises integrated in global value chains and exporting to international markets generally show higher digital maturity. Armenian enterprises linked to larger international corporations through franchising, supplier relationships, or partnerships more frequently adopt advanced digital solutions. These enterprises often operate as subsidiaries or affiliates of more digitally sophisticated parent companies. As a result, they must align with the digital standards of their parent organizations, but also benefit from access to global expertise, compliance frameworks, and advanced digital tools that surpass local market benchmarks. Exporting firms also face the external pressure to invest in digitalization. To remain competitive, they must meet their international buyers' digital standards, engage in online transactions, and streamline cross-border communication. Recent data reflects this dynamic. Medium and large enterprises, which tend to be more digitally advanced, are twice as likely to export as small businesses and 5 times more export-oriented than microenterprises. What is holding back businesses' digital transformation? Despite the growing availability of digital tools and technologies, most Armenian businesses remain at the lower end of the digital maturity curve. Understanding this gap requires examining the underlying structural, institutional, and behavioral factors that constrain adoption. Limited awareness and perceived irrelevance. A major barrier to digital adoption is the widespread lack of awareness about existing tools and their practical benefits. Many business owners, particularly in traditional sectors, do not view digital solutions as essential to growth. They often direct investments toward machinery or equipment with more tangible short-term returns. Cost-effective, locally developed digital solutions remain underutilized due to low visibility, while international systems are often perceived as expensive or overly complex. Social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram dominate Armenian entrepreneurs' digital landscape. Among early-stage entrepreneurs, 53.1% rate social media as very important, while more advanced tools like email marketing, e-commerce, and data analytics receive much lower rankings, below 20%. The digital awareness gap is even more pronounced among established business owners, placing Armenia near the bottom of the 51-country sample in terms of perceived digital importance. This suggests that businesses view digitalization merely as a promotional tool rather than a core business enabler. Weak incentives and low competitive pressure. Armenian enterprises often operate in markets with limited competitive pressure to innovate and digitalize. Companies not involved in export or international supply chains often see little reason to invest in tools that improve productivity or transparency. This attitude is evident in their short-term business outlook. While almost half of early-stage entrepreneurs plan to increase their use of digital tools in the next 6 months, only 29% of established businesses prioritize digitalization in their strategy. This low rate ranks Armenia 45th out of 51 countries surveyed. financial gaps, and technical implementation barriers. The upfront costs of adopting new technologies prevent many businesses from digital transformation. Strategic digital transformation goes beyond selecting hardware and software. It requires long-term planning, workflow redesign, staff training, and cultivating a digital mindset. Without expert guidance, businesses often become overwhelmed by options or trapped in incomplete, ineffective transitions. For Armenian businesses specifically, accessing tailored digital advisory services remains costly and difficult. The challenge is particularly severe with promising but expensive technologies like AI. Both early-stage entrepreneurs and established businesses identify increased costs and implementation difficulties as AI's primary business challenge, placing Armenia among the top 15 countries where cost is the main barrier. Skills shortages and internal capacity gaps. Workforce skill gaps further hinder digital initiatives. While some companies attempt to address this through internal training or peer-to-peer learning, overall digital competency remains low. Only 16% of Armenian firms offer formal employee training, compared to 36.2% in the EU and Central Asia. Without targeted upskilling or reskilling programs, digital tools are often underutilized or misused. What goals should policies pursue? Armenia has set ambitious goals for digital transformation at the national level, investing in e-governance systems, building connectivity infrastructure, and promoting the tech sector as a pillar of future growth. However, for these policy efforts to deliver broad-based economic impact, they must be paired with strong support for businesses navigating the digital shift. The challenge is not merely to promote digital tools, but to foster a culture where digital transformation is seen as essential to business growth, resilience, and long-term viability. Without this cultural and structural shift, we risk creating a two-speed economy where digitally adept firms, typically larger, Yerevan-based, or internationally connected, surge ahead while smaller, traditional enterprises fall behind. Such a divide would deepen existing regional and sectoral inequalities, ultimately weakening Armenia's overall economic resilience. Armenia's digital policies must evolve beyond high-level strategies to target practical enablers of digital adoption, especially for underserved segments. These could include low-cost, low-barrier entry points, such as innovation vouchers, and access to shared digital infrastructure. Tailored advisory and mentoring programs that help companies understand not just what to adopt, but why it matters for their business model. Decentralized training and support hubs in the regions that provide hands-on support with software adoption, digital marketing, e-commerce, and cybersecurity. Partnerships between non-tech companies and domestic tech developers to encourage both the co-creation of affordable, context-specific digital tools and stimulate demand for Armenian digital products. The goal isn't to push every business to the frontier of innovation, but to ensure no business is left behind due to inaccessible, unfamiliar, or unaffordable digital tools. This approach will help Armenia build an inclusive, future-ready private sector where digital transformation serves as the foundation for sustainable growth for all, not just a privileged few.